I saw an innovative cast-on for circular sock machines on YouTube. The man had made the tool himself, and I thought it was very cool. And then I saw a similar tool, not his, for sale on eBay, but they wanted $30 for it. And it reminded me of something, the bill spike that I have in my office. So I went to Amazon, and lo and behold, they still sell them. And they are not very expensive. So we decided to try making a cast-on tool ourselves. Jack is going to stretch this part out vertically. That's so that I'll be able to easily access the end of the coil and wrap the yarn around it. He found it was soft enough to stretch with his hands. Now remember, he's been a mechanic a lot of his life. Some of you might need to use prying tools. That looks stretched enough to do the job. Now we want to bend a hook into the end so that we can hang our weights on it. He started with the pry bar to give him maximum leverage, and then I wanted the hook tightened up a little bit, so that was done with pliers. I think it won't snag me or anything else in that position. It turned out to be incredibly easy. I'm going to let you see my very first try, which is never your best work till you get the feel of it, just so you see how simple this one is. I began by pulling out 3 yards of yarn and began wrapping where it emerges from the yarn feeder, holding the coil a bit below the level of the cylinder, and I later realized that I should have kept it away from the wall of the cylinder as well, but I was able to salvage the work. Then around the wire coil, around a needle, around a wire coil, around a needle, and so on all the way around. Here I'm using a 60 needle cylinder, but the work I'm doing next is only going to require every other needle. So that's what I have in there. And it turns out that's a really good way to cast on. It also turns out you don't need 3 yards if you're going to use only 30 needles. So for the following try, I did 2. I have doubled the speed exactly of my actual work so as not to waste your time and bore us all. So it takes exactly twice as long my first time through as you're seeing. And there's where I discover that's excessive yarn. And I can begin knitting around. My first stitch grows, not really a stitch, but you know what I mean, which makes me realize I should have anchored that tail one more time around an additional needle, but off we go. When you want to free the cast-on tool from the waste yarn, you just spin it and it's gone. Okay, here's my second try, and if you can master it in 2 tries, it's pretty obvious this is truly an innovative and easy cast-on. What's also clear is that this do-it-yourself tool does work. I do not think it's quite as heavy-duty as the one I've seen for sale, or the one the gentleman made on YouTube, but it's very effective. At this point, I still have to stop and twist with the other hand, but I think I'll learn to twirl it in the fingers of the hand below. And of course, when you run out of needles that are up, you have to stop and hang the weights and then continue wrapping. But by this point, the weights will be supported. This time, I'm securing the end of my yarn better by wrapping an additional needle, one that's already been wrapped and cast on, actually. So if you don't have or don't love the original cast-on basket and cast-on bonnets aren't for you, this is a really good alternative.